Hi there. My name is Kevin, and I just want to say thank you for finding our channel and stopping in. Um, Today, I want to do a bit of a talk about Thoracic Outlet Syndrome. T.OS is the other way it's known. It's something that I've had and recently had the surgery for. As this video is being recorded, I've been 2 weeks out from surgery. I've got to say, so far, it feels like it's definitely an improvement and was worth the surgery. I've heard some people say it was good, some people say it's bad. I'm only here giving you my opinion on my experience. So when we look at it, a lot of the symptoms I've been having, numbness in the arms, dizziness, feeling of fainting, sudden weakness in the arms and shoulders, stress across the shoulders. I've had forever. About 30 years ago, I had carpal tunnel surgery, and from day one, I told them that it didn't feel like the surgery had done anything. The numbness, the tingling, everything was still there. But like so many people, I was just told, the surgery's done, that's the way it's going to be. Live with it. Skip ahead till the last year or so, maybe 2 years. Things progressively have been getting worse and worse and worse. Talking to different doctors, nobody could understand what the symptoms were pointing towards, because at least here in Ontario, Canada, from what I understand, thoracic outlet syndrome isn't a commonplace medical diagnosis. Luckily for me, I got a new doctor. My previous doctor was retired. I got a new younger doctor who really is focused on learning and getting the best patient care. So when we went in with the symptoms, he was forthright saying, look, I really don't know what this is or what it's pointing towards. But luckily, my wife, she works for a company that helps people that are on disabilities and things. And she had come across some people that had the same symptoms and had the diagnosis of thoracic outlet syndrome. So armed with that, I went in and talked to my doctor. I said, hey, I know that I should be asking you questions, but I'm just wondering, is there any possibility it could be this? And he looked at me like he had never heard of it. And he actually stated that point blank that wasn't something he was familiar with, and asked if he could leave it, if I could leave it with him for a while, and he would do some investigating. So about a week and a half went by, and he called me up and he said, I've spoken to other doctors in our area. No one's ever had patients with this. Can you let me do some more investigating? And are you, stuck in our little area for care, or will you go to the next biggest city, which would be Toronto? I said, if it's going to take care of it, I'll go wherever. So about a week went by, I get a phone call. It's the doctor again, and he says, look, I found somebody who specializes in that. They're at St. Mike's Hospital in downtown Toronto, and by all accounts, he's a specialist. He basically has a vascular surgery floor on his own in the hospital. So that's where I ended up going. I went and saw him, did the test. The one test that really shocked me was when I put my hands over my head, by watching the ultrasound, my pulse disappeared in my hands. Kind of scary, because not knowing what things are going to be, you don't know. And being told, no overhead sports, no swimming, no volleyball, no rock climbing, nothing that's going to extend my limbs high over my head for extended periods of time, or do twitch movements like badminton, tennis, anything like that. So that was fine. And then he gave me the worst case scenarios, which, aneurysms, strokes, things like that, if things block. And that was quite the eye-opener, because, he was also telling me about surgery. He was showing me photos that were pretty graphic and telling me what he was going to do, which didn't sound all that pleasant. Removing a rib, taking out some muscles from the neck, pulling on some nerves, that kind of stuff. So like so many other people, I said, well, let me try physio. Let me try exercises to see how it's going to work. Wow, did that make things worse. We were, scheduled to go on a 3-week trip to the Azores. And for about a month leading up to that, I was doing physio and stretches and things that were being recommended. And it didn't seem to be getting better. In a way, it got worse, but you don't know if it's from muscles and things being stretched and used in a different way. So we get over there, and it hit on the plane. The pain, the excruciating pain, the nausea, the dizziness, everything. We were on some tours, same thing. So I went from thinking, you know what, I really think I want to take care of this with massage and therapy, to how soon can I get the surgery and get this over with. Went back, talked to the doctor. By that time, it's things get booked up and other things happen. So it was going to be a year out. It was going to be, well, almost a year. It was going to be June of this year that I'd be able to get it done. I said, fine, book me in. And I lived with it. Good times, bad times, lots of massaging. I did find that a Theracane works really well. Not that this is a promotion for anything in particular, but the Theracane for massaging up in the back along that shoulder muscle seems to really release a lot, because when it gets tight, the muscles up behind the ear, down the neck, into the back of the head all get tight, and it really compressed on my arteries, my veins, and my nerves. So as far as I'm concerned, the Theracane has been working wonderfully, along with some heat pads. Put them in the microwave, put them on, and really help relax when everything does tend to spasm. So that's what I was doing, and then COVID reared its lovely head, and the surgery got canceled. So like anybody else, I decided, well, if I'm not going to have surgery, I might as well do some big projects, and I decided to hand dig for weeping tile, dig up about 6,000 pounds of patio stones and move them by myself, regrade the backyard, digging out, 28 foot wide by 17 feet, going down about a foot of grade. And my body finally said, hey, you know what, you're being a real moron here. And I couldn't take it anymore. The pain was excruciating. Sleepless nights. We're talking about 2-3 days not sleeping more than 10 minutes each, every few hours. Having to stay in a upright position because I couldn't lay down. So I went and talked to my doctor. This is now around 3rd week of June. It's a phone call. It's not even an in-person. But he reached out to the surgeon, luckily, and about the 2nd week of July, I got a phone call saying that my surgery was scheduled for the 23rd of July. So I had about a week notice that the surgery was going to be happening. I didn't realize the scope of the importance of that until afterwards, when I found out that the hospital I went to, technically their appointments with the doctors and their surgeries are not running at the moment. They're on, as they call it, an emergency life-altering basis. So if you need a surgery because you just needed a surgery and it wasn't going to do a whole lot to change your life, or you're not going to die from it or whatever, you would still be waiting. And I went from my surgery being canceled to just over a week's notice for surgery in that situation. So I found out that they did have more concern than I was aware of, and they were giving it definitely a lot more attention than I was myself, even though I was going through all this pain and all these issues. So thankfully they got me in, and that was, like I said, the 23rd of July. So the 23rd of July, I got to the hospital. Now you have to go in by yourself. You have your little bag that you're allowed a few little things in. It's a bag that has to be washable so they can disinfect it. And it's a little daunting, you know. My daughter pulled up to the curb. I got out of the car and waved goodbye, and you're going in to have a surgery done that, for the most part, there isn't a lot of information on. When you look online, there isn't a whole lot that people talk about it. At least not that I could find. There are some things, but it's not as in-depth as a lot of others. And what I did find were from different clinics, so everybody does things differently. So, you know, what I was reading, the healing times, the incisions, I had built myself up to something based on that information. So I go in, and the staff's great. Go through all the testing, test for superbugs. They test you for everything nowadays, obviously. And 12:30 in the afternoon on the Thursday, the 23rd, I'm laying there, and they wheel me in for the surgery. And I'm asking, while they're prepping me, I'm asking them questions based on what I've read online, only to find out that most of what I was reading is not the way that this particular doctor does things. So, you know, I was asking about how is my breathing going to be afterwards. They said your breathing should be normal. Why are you asking? Well, I've read how, you know, a lot of people have to relearn to breathe. They have to blow in that little contraption with the ball to make sure they have enough lung capacity. You know, how much they are removing muscles from the neck. How much am I going to notice that? Am I going to be a bobblehead or what? I wasn't sure. A little nervous, but I wasn't sure. And those kind of questions, and they answered them. And luckily for me, the one thing that the one person said is, you know, start stretching and exercising as soon as you can. Don't let things stiffen. So I have the surgery. I'm back in my room, and I wake up thinking of that. So I started doing my, you know, tilting left and right, neck down, neck back, while I was in the bed the first night, because, you know, you're fearful. Same as stretching your feet, lifting your legs up and down, so for blood clots, moving your arms. What really shocked me, though, was the amount of mobility I had in the arm right after surgery. The lack of pain was phenomenal. From what I hear, it's not normal, even for this doctor, but I was really pleased with the fact that I didn't have to take any painkillers. I was able to, they had me on one of those pain pumps where you can push the button and administer yourself. I didn't do that. I took no painkillers the whole time I was in the hospital, and I've had 0 painkillers since I've been out of the hospital. I wouldn't say that I have a crazy intolerance to pain. I'm not one of those macho people and all the rest. It's just not needed. But I do know myself, and I know enough that if given something to mask the pain, I'll probably do something foolish, not realizing I'm in pain, and might damage myself. So I think it's better not to take it. But that's just a personal opinion. So the surgery was Thursday, back up in the room. So we go overnight Thursday. You know, no mobility. You're tethered to IVs and different things. They do have a drain in the chest. So, you know, which I was aware of. I just didn't know what it was going to look like. It looks like a crushed up Tupperware container or food storage container with a tube going to it, but not uncomfortable in any way. And yeah, so, you know, first night, a little uncomfortable to get, a little hard to get comfortable when you're sleeping more upright. They want you to be at least at a 30-degree angle. And again, that's for fluids, and that all makes sense. You can't get up and walk around yet. The Friday, and let me backtrack. They're also waking you up every 2 hours to check your temperature and make sure everything's good, so in case you're getting an infection, which I'm glad they do. It doesn't help you sleep, but it's important. Come to Friday, you know, you get up, you have your breakfast. I found I couldn't eat, and it wasn't for not being hungry, because I hadn't had anything to eat since Wednesday at 7 p.m. because you're not allowed anything after midnight. I just stopped eating at 7 p.m. So from Wednesday at 7 p.m. till Friday at 8 a.m., you're hungry. But I couldn't swallow. I was having difficulty swallowing. There was tension along here. I was swallowing still a little bit, and my voice was very hoarse. And they tell me that was from the tube, and that's normal. So Friday I didn't really eat for breakfast. Friday lunch I couldn't really eat. Friday for dinner they asked for something that's a little softer, so that came up with mashed potatoes and things. So that was fine. I felt better. I got to eat something. But I was also up and mobile, which I was pleased with. So I was able to unplug the IV from the wall and walk to the bathroom, as opposed to having to use one of those pee pots that they give you. So that feeling of independence was great. Once they found out I was doing that, then they were trying to suggest that I walk around the floor. So on the day after surgery, that's what I was doing. I was walking around the floor of the hospital that we were on, and it was going great. The drains were getting checked. It was decreasing the amounts of fluid. So by dinner time on the Friday after the surgery, there was, I think it was in around 10 or 12 mil of fluid. So it dropped from 30 down to 10 or 12. By then, I'd also had the IV removed and the pain pump. They said, since you're not using it anyway, there's no use having it plugged in. So it was great. By the evening after the surgery, I had my freedom back, no IVs, no anything like that. And the doctor came in and looked me over and everything, and he shocked me because I was expecting, they tell you it's 3 to 5 days in hospital post-op, not counting the day of the operation. So, you'd be looking at Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You'd be in, leaving on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. But Monday would probably be the earliest. And based on the healing that had taken place and the abilities I was doing, they let me leave on the Saturday morning. So I was stoked. It was like, okay, just don't do anything stupid that's going to make them change their mind on this, because I wasn't sure how that would work either. So physiotherapists came in, showed me the exercises that would be needed, and a prescription for physiotherapy down the road. Once I had that in front of me, then I was able to start implementing it, which was fantastic. So, here we go over Friday night. Still no pain. The drain's working fine. Everything's working great. Saturday morning, when I'm hoping to leave, the time that the doctor had said comes and goes. I'm nervous. The second physio person comes in and says, I understand you're potentially getting out today. No one would give me you're leaving today. There's always potential, or it might be. So they made me walk up and down flights of stairs, just to see, if you could do it, if you got lightheaded, anything like that. And so you have to walk down along the corridors to the stairs. You go up, you go back down. They judge how you are, how you're moving, and then you have to go through the exercises that they've already given you on the sheet. And she said, for most people, that's the first time they've done them. But luckily, I'd been doing some the day of the surgery, and I've been practicing the exact ones they gave me on the sheet. So the mobility I had was higher than they were expecting. And I'm not saying this to brag at all, believe me. It shocked me. I'm saying it that if you do have this surgery, be proactive. Don't wait for them to come in and say, okay, it's time to exercise. Don't wait for them to say, okay, it's time for you to take a walk. Get up, move, get mobile. You don't want, especially your shoulder and everything in there in your neck, to lock up. Because if they do, it's going to be harder. You're going to scar tissue is going to form, all of that. You want the mobility, right? You want to be able to, for instance, like I said, it's 2 weeks today since the day of surgery. You know, I'm able to put my arm up, I'm able to move it down. I can go sideways. I can't get full extension sideways quite yet, but it's a lot better. My turning of my neck is actually better than before surgery. So if you have the surgery, definitely do the exercises when you come out of surgery and keep doing them over and over and over and over. A little bit at a time, hold for 5 seconds, release. It's going to make a world of difference. So, you know, I got the green light from physio to go home. They gave me a sheet for walking. So you're supposed to do a lot of walking the first day, second day. And they suggest small walks, you know, 6 5-minute walks the first day, things like that. But based on what I've been doing around the hospital already, she said I could start further down. So I think we started with 4, 5, 10-minute walks. Now we're up, like this morning. This morning was shorter because some things came up. But yesterday, I think it was 3 30-minute walks at a good pace. So we're almost to the same pace that we were at before surgery. And we were quite the avid walkers. So pleased with the progress with that. The healing has been fantastic. The scar is not as gnarly as I thought it would be. The scar from the tubes is pretty non-existent because they're very small, like spaghetti strands that go into your body. And I'm going to visit with the surgeon for follow-up next Tuesday, the Tuesday coming. So after I've talked to him, I plan to do another video and give you kind of a heads up of what he's seeing, what he thinks, how I'm healing, because there are some issues that I do want to talk to him about. Like there's some swelling through here and here that really are tender and they're tight. Don't know what that is. It almost feels hard. If I didn't know better, I'd think scar tissue, but that's not it. I've had some pings of electricity through things, which potentially could just be some nerve endings, you know, connecting and firing away, because they do stretch some nerves out. And coldness in my arm, which I hoped would disappear with the surgery. That hasn't yet. But, you know, it's still very early, as I'm told, in the healing process, so that could improve. And I'll find out more when I see him on Tuesday. Like I said, I'll do a follow-up video to give you an idea of what he says and what I'm allowed to do, because as we sit here right now, potentially I'm about 4 weeks out before I can drive still, because you have to have a certain amount of strength back in your shoulders and mobility, flexibility, and healing. Because you don't want to be, you know, trying to look really quickly to your right and not being able to turn your neck. So that's hard for me right now. Not like we're going a lot of places with what's happening in the world, but still that feeling of independence. It's nice to know that if you need to go get something or need to go somewhere, you have the ability. So I want to find out from him, you know, how it's looking for driving, and just asking what the healing process should be feeling like, so I can compare it to what I'm going through. Because the first week and a half, the healing was super quick and it was great. The last 3 days or so, it seems like everything's stiffening up and getting some of those weird sensations that I mentioned earlier, like the electricity going through and the swelling and tightness. And that might be normal par for the course, but since I've never had this before, I'm not sure. If anybody's had the surgery and you think that was normal and you got through it, please leave me a comment below and let me know. I'd love to hear everybody's story, if they've had surgery, if they didn't, why, if they had it, why, and how they're coping with it and how long they've had it for. Because based on this so far, I probably could have had this years ago and my life would have been different. It hasn't stopped me from doing everything, it just stopped me from doing things comfortably. And sometimes that's the biggest difference. I never used to believe when people would say, you know, pain changes a person or changes their personality. I really do see it now over the last while, where I feel myself just not being myself. I was the guy always smiling, always happy, and outgoing, and wanting to be around people, and I found myself becoming more introverted because of pain. So that's it for me today. Like I said, leave me some comments, that'd be great. If you've got any ideas for me of some extra exercises that work post-op, that'd be fantastic. And if you had the surgery, I'd love to hear what your experiences were like. And I will create another video after I see the doctor, and I'll let you know how it goes. Take care, everybody. We'll talk soon.